Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. It's really nice to see everyone in this virtual room tonight. I'm excited. We've got quite a nice special night tonight. So my name is Maike. I'm the founder of Ocean Now. For everyone who doesn't know us yet, tonight I will be your host. Trish will be your co-host. And I'm really looking forward to this session. So the session is called Let's Examine. So what we're going to do is we'll, on one hand, learn a bit about polymers and microplastics. We will also test our knowledge, and then we will examine products. So we will do a live scanning session with 3 apps. And we will also exchange some information and tips on DIY cosmetics and cleaning products. And yeah, this is all like really interactive tonight, and I welcome. I appreciate if people would like to switch on their camera. It's nice to be in, like, to have this like feeling to be in a room. It's not a must, but it's a recommendation. And mostly the event will be in English. We have a section which is a little bit of German, but mostly in English. So yeah, and we'll have this little introduction. It's gonna be my part now shortly. And okay, so yes, so we are, one thing before we start, actually, we've gotten into the habit of always trying to measure our work, like to measure our impact. And so I would ask you to, if you have 2 or 3 minutes, to fill in a form, a survey at the end of the event, or even, yeah, would be at the end. And I will put this now in the chat. So now the form, you can see the little Google survey. We would be really happy if you want to fill it in. It's only 3 questions, no 4 questions, very fast. Thank you so much in advance. Also, one little note, but we will get to this later if you like. So while we're now giving you some information on microplastics and we'll do this little quiz, etc., one thing we will do afterwards is do a little scanning of products with apps. So if you like, in the meanwhile, you can also download these apps, or maybe someone can put them in a chat so people have a moment to download them. Like Sam, if you like, you could just, or put them, write them in, or Cheryl. Sometimes it takes a while to download them, but yeah, we recommend them. So it's good to save some time maybe there. Cool. And yeah, this session is interactive. Feel free to ask any questions, anything you would like to put in a chat. We will get back to this later when we have the scanning session. So starting with some information, and because we will do a quiz later, some of the information might be useful for you later. So it's worth listening. So according to Cosmetics Europe, 98% of microplastics have been reduced from products, wash off cosmetics and of personal care products so far, between 2012 and 2017 actually. And some of you might maybe also know why there's been this so-called cosmetics dialogue between the German government and the industry. It's a voluntary commitment by the industry to reduce microplastics in products. It seems like we've made big progress with 98%. It sounds like, yay, we're nearly at 100 or so. But if we look at it a bit more closely, what we found is that there actually still are microplastics in products. This was a number referring to the solid kind of microplastic, and we also find liquid microplastics. We call them liquid microplastics. You can also call them soluble synthetic polymers, for example. And yeah, we've taken this like note, we've noticed this, and of course we find it's not positive at all, and that's why we're fighting for this ban. And what we've worked with in the last few years was something we always also recommend is a shopping guide, because today is also about recommending and exchanging information. It's a shopping guide by our friends at BOND, which you find here. Also put the link here. And this is like a really good tool. And yeah, so a few more notes on microplastics in general. It's quite shocking. Microplastics have been found everywhere in our atmosphere, everywhere. So from Mount Everest to the poles, North Pole, South Pole. And also they have been found in all organisms, all living organisms that have been examined. So we know they are everywhere, yet progress has been relatively slow. That's why we're here, that's why we're doing what we're doing. And yeah, so it's interesting to see there's different kinds of microplastics. We have the solid type and the liquid kind of type. You might also, it's quite a gray zone, right, between liquid and nanoplastics and the definition. There's no coherence globally on the definition, except from microplastics need to be smaller than 5 millimeters. Yeah, it's in the making. It's also interesting to monitor this because we know that the industry, for example, is trying to set a limit, a minimum limit of a size for microplastics in order to avoid the regulation of liquid microplastics, which is also a little shocking, we find. So there are two kinds of microplastics, and I'm nearly done. This is the last piece. So secondary microplastics and primary. The secondary microplastics are the kind of microplastics that appear when products are used. So for example, abbreviation or when tires wear out. So the primary microplastics are the kind of microplastics that are intentionally added to products. So in this case, to cosmetics or cleaning products. And for us, yeah, it feels really ironic or unbelievable that we still add microplastics to products, even though we know that the concentration is rising so much because plastic production and consumption has even gone up last year in Germany, I read. So of course we want to avoid an even higher concentration. And it starts with little things as cosmetics. We know that studies are in the making, and we know that there's a high likelihood of microplastics being harmful in living organisms in many cases, and that's why we do what we do. Even if someone says, oh, there's still data missing, we don't say we will wait for another 10 years until we have the right studies, because what we say is anything that is not biodegradable should not be in nature. So we don't, as humans, have the right to put anything non-biodegradable in nature. So like in a minute, yes, so this is actually kind of the end of the talk of information I wanted to give. And I will shortly hand over to Suzanne. Suzanne is a polymer expert chemist we have on our team. And she will tell you a little bit about polymers, because polymers are actually the basis for microplastics. And with this said, Suzanne, feel free to take the screen away.
So hey everyone, nice to meet you. So as Michael said, my name is Suzanne Aksakal and I'm a polymer chemist. And I joined the OceanOut team, I think 1 year ago, to support a bit with the scientific knowledge. So this talk is about polymers and microplastics. So first I would like to, oh, why it's not going forward? Talk a bit about the definition of microplastic. So when we talk about microplastic, we are not actually meaning a new type of plastics, but we consider every small piece that originates from plastic that is smaller than 5 millimeters in size. So, and these small microplastic pieces, they originate from plastic consumer products, which can be plastic bags, polyethylene bottle, or also the nylon in your clothes that is just rinsed off by the washing. Oops. So almost everyone understands the concept of molecules, I hope. So what I do is actually to make polymers, I'm using small molecules and I combine them to something bigger, to like a long chain of molecules. So, and these small molecules we call monomer, and this originates from the Greek word mono and mer, which means single piece, and we combine them. So once we stack them, we obtain something that has a high molecular weight. So all polymers have a high molecular weight, so they're kind of bulky and heavy. And this is forming the polymer. So you can easily visualize this by a Lego brick. So let's say the red Lego brick is representing like a monomer. And once you stack many of them, you will obtain something that is a polymer and has a certain functionality or like a property. So I only put the red Lego brick there, but of course we're not limited to only one class of monomers. There are like actually thousands of them. So we have different colors, we have different length of these small molecules, and also different functionalities. So there is really a wide range of these monomers. And depending on what monomer you use, you will have a different property in the end product, which is the polymer. So depending on which monomer we use, of course, we have a different polymer and a different application. And this can be seen, we target a special functionality and property of the end product. And this means either I can obtain something flexible or something durable. For example, polyvinyl chloride that's representing like the framing around windows and doors. This is something durable. And it's also something stable because you don't want the window framing actually to melt away when it's raining or the sun is shining. But you also want to have it lightweight, so it's not collapsing on its own. And this we can really target by using the right monomer, so the right molecule, and also depending on the length of these connections. So there are two things that all polymers have in common. They have in common that they consist of small molecules, so the monomers, but also that they have high molecular weights. So it's for polymers, we don't have the scale like for humans, but we have a different scale for molecules, and this is like the molecular weight. And all these polymers have a very high molecular weight because once you put the monomers together, you need thousands of these small molecules to be together. And this is resulting in a higher molecular weight. So the polymers are used mainly in packaging industry. So here on the right, you can see, but also in other fields like electronics, furniture, and also toys. So back in the days, toys were made out of wood, so something very natural. But now this is undergoing a very big mass production, and this is also based on polymers. So let's talk about something we encounter in our daily lives, which are the synthetic polymers. And these are polymers the industry intentionally adds to products like cosmetics and other products to have a certain property in the end material. So for example, polyethylene that's used in lipstick, and this is helping with the application of the lipstick because you don't want something that is hard as a brick, you want something that's soft, and the polyethylene, this is helping to soften the material. But also polystyrene and polyacrylates, this is a very important class of polymers, and they are mainly used in sunscreen. And what it does is, if we apply a small layer of this polymer or this product that has like a high content of this polymer, the sunlight shines on the skin, but the polymer is actually absorbing the light, so not our skin. And this is how we can prevent sunburn. Because the polystyrene, the polyacrylate, this is something that's interacting with the UV light, but not our skin. We also have nylon, which can be found in nail polish, something very stable because it's a polyamide, so something we have in peptides. But also the stability is very important because once you wash your hands, you don't really want the nail polish to rinse off. Another very important class is polyacrylates, and these are mainly known as superabsorbents. So what happens is once we have this polyacrylate in a material like in diapers, once it's in contact with water, it solidifies. So nothing from like any liquid can leak out because it's getting immediately like a solid. The next very important sample that can be found in a lot of products is polyethylene. This can be found in creams, but also in high-end applications such as drug delivery in the body, because the polyethylene is helping with the combination of oil and water, so we can actually mix this together. Otherwise, you would have a separation of oil and water. But the polyethylene is also added to help that once we apply the skincare to our face, that no bacteria can actually grow on this. So this is something that has to do with hygiene in the product. A bit controversial is the polyethylene because it also is the major polymer that's used to make microbeads. And this is actually very harmful to the ocean, because once we wash off like this product, it enters the sink and the wastewater treatment. And then mainly some can be filtered out, but the majority of this will still enter the ocean. And Beat the Microbeads develop an app where we can actually find these kind of intentionally added products, polymers. So we know this kind of polymers are causing microplastic pollutions. So with this app, it's actually easy to follow what kind of polymers are in the products, because not everyone understands this kind of chemistry written on the bottle. But by scanning this, we will be able to see what kind of harmful polymers, but as well as polymers that are causing microplastic pollutions are added. So in this case, we see that the polyethylene glycol, in short, PEG, is added, as well as the sodium acrylate. So before I go to the lab and start making polymers, I have to make myself familiar with the compounds I'm using and the polymers. A way to do this online is I'm checking the safety data regulation of this specific compound. And a quick search for the toothpaste of Theramid is showing that this product contains sodium polyacrylate, so the salt of a polyacrylate. And if you check the symbols here, you can see that this is causing irritation. And even worse, this is specifically for eye irritation. So, and let's imagine you potentially swallow this product, but it can also come in contact with your eyes. So therefore, it's important to make yourself familiar with the compounds that are in the products. So there are two types of microplastics, which Mike already explained a bit. So the primary microplastics are the polymers we intentionally add to the product, and these are synthetic polymers. And the secondary microplastics are the degradation products of these plastics in the environment. So I choose three big polymers. The polyethylene we already talked about, but these are the polymers that can be found in lots of products. So the polyethylene, for example, can be found in any kind of products that contain powders, because it helps to bind this powder to the product and also to thicken these solid ingredients, and that there is no separation of water and oil, because most of the time in creams and face wash, we have a combination of water and oil. And as I said, this compound is controversial because this is used to make micro beads, and in some countries this is already has been banned. Polyurethane, also a big class. This is used to make facial mask, sunscreen, and mascara. For example, you want your mascara to be stable towards water, so you don't want to have it washed off. So this is actually when you look for waterproof mascara, that you will have the polyurethane in there. So once a product is used and washed off, it enters the ocean. First, like the wastewater treatment, and some of it got filtered out. But once it enters the ocean, nature found some ways to degrade these polymers. But this degradation are divided in 4 different classes, but all of them take a different amount of time as well. So you can have the biodegradation, which is caused, for example, by enzymes. So once you have the polymer in the ocean, we have some small enzymes that are actually trying to break the connection in the polymers. And this is breaking the polymer into smaller pieces. So the same is happening if we have the sun. So the sun is giving UV light, and with this UV light, this is strong enough to break bonds over a period of time. Then we also have oxygen and water that can also lead to the degradation of the polymers. But as I said, this really depends on the polymer itself, because in every polymer we have a different amount of atoms. So this can be oxygen, carbon, sulfur, but also we have polymers with different groups. This can be something aromatic, so something very bulky, or something that's not aromatic. The degree of crystallization, this also plays a very important role, and this can be considered if you have a plastic that's more like glass-like or something that's more soft, like a plastic bag. And one bottle of polyethylene terephthalate, which is in short PETs, takes about 450 years if you leave it in nature to fully degrade. Due to the toxicity in the polymers, this can also slow down the reproduction rates in humans. So not only small organisms or the ocean is suffering from these microplastics, but also we humans, because we also consume like fish from the ocean. But also it can release some compounds, and potentially human can inhale these compounds, and this can in return harm our internal organs. And in worst case, this can even cause cancer. An easy way to circumvent this problem is by actually using something we have been using like many, many years ago, something that can be found in nature, something like cotton. So we don't necessarily need nylon, which is like something the industry is making, but something biological, which is like based on cellulose, so the cotton. But also there are certain rubbers we can collect from the gummy tree. So we don't need something to add something like sulfur in the polymer. And these polymers that can be found in nature, they usually degrade much faster than something we make in industry. So that's it. If there are any questions, I'm really happy to answer them, or if there was something unclear, you can ask your questions.
Could I ask a question, Suzanne?
Yes, please.
For example, sunscreen is something that's very important to me. I grew up in Australia and I have bad skin and I want to use sunscreen. Is there a polymer in nature or a plastic that would provide sunscreen cover, or are we going to have to accept that some products won't work as well, you know, if we want to not have microplastics in them?
So far, I'm not aware of any alternative way to replace the sunscreen. But what I should also mention here is that we not only add the polymer as the active ingredient. So these polyacrylates and these aromatics we add to the polymer to have it blocking against sun. But there are tons of other polymers we add to have the application. So you will be able to actually apply this. So this means to replace one product like the sunscreen, you not only have to look for the replacement for the polyacrylates or the polystyrene, you actually have to find a combination for like 20, 30, 40 of them. But I haven't seen any biological sunscreen so far.
I have, I can add just, I don't know, I'm not an expert on sunscreen, but what I do know is that, for example, if I've actually used like organic sunscreen in the past, and from what I know, it didn't contain any microplastics, but then it does contain other, like it can contain other ingredients that are not microplastic but something else. We actually have a sunscreen we can scan in a minute. What I do know though is I think it's the lower sunscreen, though the lower, you know, numbers, like where you, I think if they whiten your skin, what you usually want to avoid, if they whiten your skin, they make your skin white, then mostly they don't contain microplastics. So to avoid the whitening of the skin, polymers are added. Sorry, which polymer was it? Polyethylene? No.
Polystyrene and polyacrylates.
Yeah, that one is added. But I think there are already solutions out there. I think, but yeah, it's one of the hardest ones, I think.
Because it has such an important role to play. It's not just an option in a way for a lot of people.
Susan, I have a question as well. I'm curious if you have any insight into, I mean, obviously microplastics are becoming more of a discussed topic, and microbeads have been phased out in a lot of places. Do you get a sense that the industry is looking for more natural polymers to put into products, or is it still pretty well committed to the synthetic ones?
Well, what I see is that because I work in industry, so I'm doing polymers, but I can see that there is really a big trend how to replace something that's very controversial, but as well as replacing materials that has been there for a long time. But this is a long way, because usually to get one material on the market, even if it originates like from nature, it takes a lot of time. But there are, what I see like in at universities, for example, there are a lot of fundings to find something based on what we have in nature. But this will take a time. But there is a lot of research, of course. Yeah. Any other question? So then I think I will hand in to Jacqueline. She has prepared a quiz, and I hope you learned a lot, and now she will test you. So good luck.
Yeah, thanks, Susan. Very interesting to hear this from your professional chemical background. Yeah, so now we start with the quiz here in Zoom and test your knowledge regarding microplastics. So it will be a bit more interactive. How it works, hopefully you will see the question here in Zoom, and then you have 30 seconds to answer. Afterwards, I will show you the results and also give you the correct answer. It will be 9 questions. Yeah, so let's get started, and I just hope it works here in Zoom. So, can you see the question now?
Yep.
Okay. Can you see one question, or can you see all questions?
All questions.
Okay, that's also very weird. Okay, but we start with the first one. So what are microplastics? Is it plastic particles below 1 centimeter, plastic particles between 500 nanometers and 1 millimeter, or plastic particles below 5 millimeters, or all microbeads regardless of size?
So everybody can choose an answer, or how does it work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you choose an answer?
Yes, I can. I can. Yes, I can.
That's good.
I can choose an answer,
because,
but you have to choose every answer before you can enter it, actually.
Okay. Yeah, then I will just guide you through all the questions. I think it's like I can't show you like the individual answers, but then we will go through the whole quiz, I guess. Then the second question is up to how many plastic particles can there be in a 50 milliliter peeling tube? Is it 160,000 particles, 2.8 million, 35,000, or 1.1 million? The third question is, how far can microplastics fly, depending on size and composition? Is it 10 kilometers, 30 kilometers, 500 kilometers, or 100 kilometers? The next question is, which of these 4 typical cosmetic ingredients is not a synthetic polymer? Oh my God, these are really complicated names. Acrylates C1030, alkyl acrylates cross polymer, sodium lauryl sulfate, carbomer, or dimethicone. I hope I pronounce it somehow correctly. Then the fifth question is, what isn't a source of secondary microplastic? Car tires, nail polish, or microbeads in peeling? The next question is, how many tons of synthetic polymers are produced annually in Germany as active ingredients and auxiliary materials for cosmetic, washing, care, and cleaning products? Is it 8,500 tons, 17,500 tons, 35,000 tons, or 50,000 tons? Seventh question is, which natural areas are still free of microplastics? Is it the deep sea, the Arctic, the high mountains inaccessible for humans, or none? Microplastics have been found in all natural areas so far. The eighth question is, in which organisms microplastics have not been found yet? In zooplankton and other microorganisms, in humans, in fish that are classified as safe for human consumption, or microplastic was also found in all organisms tested for microplastic? And the last question is, in 2014, a large part of the cosmetics industry declared a voluntary commitment to producing without microbeads made of PE. In 2016, an independent study showed that PE microbeads were still present in many of the facial scrubs examined. In how many? In each product tested, in every third product tested, in every seventh product tested, or in every 10th product tested? Okay, we'll just give it a bit more.
Jacqueline, I can't seem to vote. Is there a trick to it?
I think it's because you're a co-host.
Ah, okay.
If you like, Trish, you can give away the co-host and.
No problem. I just wondered what I was doing wrong.
Okay.
Okay, so let's see if I hope we can also see the results here. Okay. Can you see the results now? Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So let's go through it. So the first question was, what are microplastics? Yeah, and exactly the third question is the correct answer. So plastic particles below 5 millimeters. That's great. Then up to how many plastic particles can there be in a 50 milliliter peeling tube? And here the correct answer, oh, that's quite diverse, but the correct answer is the second one. So it's 2.8 million plastic particles. How far can microplastics fly depending on size and composition? There was 3 votes for 500 and 3 for 100. It's actually 100 kilometers microplastics can fly. Which of these 4 typical cosmetics ingredients are not a synthetic polymer? And that's also correct. So the second answer, sodium lauryl sulfate. Yes, then we go to the next question. What is not a source of secondary microplastics? And that's actually microbeads in peeling is the correct answer. Nail polish and car tires are a source of secondary microplastic. How many tons of synthetic polymers are produced annually in Germany as active ingredients and auxiliary materials for cosmetic, washing, care, and cleaning products? And here the most votes were for 35,000 tons. It's actually 50,000 tons annually produced synthetic polymers in Germany. So which natural areas are still free of microplastic? That was, everyone actually got the right answer. So yeah, there's no natural area that is free of microplastics, unfortunately. In which organisms microplastics have not been found yet? And there also the majority was for the correct answer. Microplastic was actually found in all organisms that were tested for microplastics. And then the last question, in 2014, a large part of the cosmetics industry declared a voluntary commitment to producing without microbeads made of PE. In 2016, an independent study showed that PE microbeads were still present in many of the facial scrubs examined, and in how many was the question. And here the correct answer is that it was found in every third product tested. So the second answer. Good. Yeah, so that worked. That's great. Yeah, thank you very much for taking part in this quiz. We hope it was fun and you've learned something. So now we get to the part where we scan the products and see which ingredients are actually in there. So yeah, hand over to Cheryl.
So thank you for the quiz and hello everyone. Now we have another interactive part here. And I would like to invite you to download one of those apps we already put into the chat. So we have Codecheck, we have Toxfox, and we have Beat the Microbead. So feel free to download these apps and scan the products we are about to scan. So 3 of us are going to introduce you to some apps that we are going to use for that can help us to identify products that contain microplastics or other harmful ingredients. And I'm going to start. So the first app that I am going to show you is Codecheck. So Codecheck is an app that can analyze not only cosmetic products, but also products that you use in the whole household, but also food and beverage, and also electronics. I mainly use it just for cosmetics and household products. So this is, I hope you can see it. Is it anyhow? Can you see it? So this is the front page of the app. So on the first page, there are some tips on how to reduce the use of salt, and there are some tips how you can live a more sustainable life. And then there's also the code that you can use. So there's some kind of, I think it's an algorithm that you use. So basically, oh, you cannot see it, I guess. So it shows me, I think. So usually there should be some product and you can scan it. So I have this hand cream right here and I'm trying to scan that for you just to show you quickly how it works. Does it work? No, it shows me, I think. Well, anyway, we are going to test it in a second anyway. So this is Codecheck. There you can use the scan and scan the barcode of any product you want, and then you can see what kind of ingredients are inside. So is there any microplastics inside, or if you use some food, is there maybe something inside that contains gluten or lactose? So it's also very useful for people who have some kind of how do you say, intolerance against lactose or anything else people are allergic to. So that's very useful. And now I hand over to Sam, who is going to introduce you to another app.
So the app that I am introducing has actually already been called out tonight by Susan. Thanks, Susan. I'm talking about this app, Beat the Microbead. Let's see if I can brighten down a bit and you will be able to see it. Essentially, Beat the Microbead, if you can or can't see it, is pretty similar to Codecheck in the sense that you can also scan products. Beat the Microbead originated in 2012. They were focused, as you would guess, on microbeads in particular, and these were found most obviously in these scrubs that you would feel these little plastic beads, and it was to be helpful with exfoliating, etc. But they're very non-biodegradable. And so they started with this, let's find out where all these microplastics are, or the microbeads are, and then kind of expanded to microplastics as they went further. The thing to know about this app is when you're scanning products, you can scan labels, which is a really nice feature. You can also add a barcode to their database. And what they'll do is they categorize the products into 4 levels: red, orange, green, and 0. And red means that they found quite a lot of microplastics, or at least one instance of a known polymer microplastic. Orange is this category that they're calling skeptical microplastics. And this is actually an interesting kind of area of microplastics in cosmetics, because a lot of polymers are not clearly understood or classified. And I think that's kind of been a continuing theme tonight, is that we're still learning about them, and we don't know if they're harmful, and we don't know if they aren't. And so it's kind of a good thing to know one way or the other, whether it's in there. And then you have green, which is the product isn't having microplastics in it, but the brand as a whole may not be universally microplastic free. So you might find one product that it's microplastic free, but you shouldn't necessarily trust that the next one on the shelf from the same brand is microplastic free as well. And then finally they have 0, and this is, as you would guess, brands that have committed to no microplastics. And Beat the Microbead also has a label that says look for the 0, and that's products that they've partnered with to put a logo on. And yeah, I'll be scanning some products in a moment as well, and I'll pass it over to Micah.
Nice, thank you both. Yeah, so I am introducing you to an app called Toxfox. Toxfox is an app developed by an NGO called BOND. It's a German one, and it's specialized in cosmetics and kids' toys. We've just heard from Suzanne earlier also that toys really are, one of the sources of are usually made of plastic. You could say that. It's sad, but it's like that. And Toxfox is actually, it scans also hormonal kind of toxic ingredients, for example, any kind of toxic ingredients in general, also microplastics, but goes a little further. It also does scan the barcode like Codecheck. Beat the Microbead scans the ingredients list, which is actually also a very nice new feature, because you can use it globally, because the ingredients are always in English, and they're all the same around the world. So of course with Toxfox and Codecheck, it's the database, I guess, that needs to be like constantly updated at their end. Toxfox, I've used it for cosmetics so far only, but yes, I like the idea that it also includes any other toxic kind of ingredients, because one little interesting part is that is something we've come across, and we've come across this like marginally, but there are also polymers. No, there are hormonal active kind of chemical, how do you call it, ingredients, compounds. No, probably it's not compound ingredients that are added to plastic to make it soft, for example. And these ingredients can actually influence your hormonal system. And it's quite shocking that kids' toys, and nowadays you find much higher BPA, for example, is one of the plastic softeners. So kids have much more plastic softeners in their blood today compared to like 10 years ago. So it's quite shocking, because it can actually really influence your hormonal system. So you become, you have more female hormones, or these kind of things. So anyways, this is a little off track, but this is Toxfox, yes. So, and of course now if we, we're going to scan 1 or 2 products we have on the Google Drive, and Cher will share her screen. And of course, we cannot scan all of the products depending on the picture, because if there's a barcode, we can scan the barcode. So whoever of you just downloaded the app yourself at home or so, feel free to just scan it, because we tested it and it actually funnily works, which is nice. In this virtual world we're in right now, we can actually just go on, but we need to click on the image sharer, I think, to have it big. Yeah.
All right. Okay, and I hope it works for everyone.
So what you could do, if you don't mind, can you enlarge, or have you enlarged your browser? Or maybe it's just at my end. Oh, maybe it works. I can test it. It just seems really small, but I can test it.
I can try to make it bigger a little bit.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Oh yeah. Okay. I can make a start. It's a sunscreen. Okay. It's the sunscreen we talked about earlier with Trish. It's this like Alverde sunscreen, and with Toxfox, it doesn't seem to contain microplastics, but it contains titan dioxide, so in brackets nano. So it says it's a UV filter. It also has different other properties of making something like look a little less trübend. I don't know the English word. It's like making it less see-through. It's also another property. Here, it certainly is the UV filter. And the problem is that it can cause, most likely can cause cancer in your, how do you say, your breathing system. And it can also harm waterways and organisms like in the soil. So one thing to certainly avoid, even if it's an organic product, right? It's this thing.
Yeah. So
Really
maybe
annoying.
I can show my result as well. So I scanned the barcode, and I don't know. Hold on a second. I try to see myself too. So, is it? Can you see it? Hold on. So there you go. So this is what it shows me. Come on. Hold on. Okay. So as you can see, there's a circle, and most of the circle is green, except for this little red part. And that's the part where it says the same thing on your app. So it contains nanoparticles, and the rest of it seems to be harmless. But then you can just touch it and then try to see the explanation, what it is, what it does to your body, what it is used for in the product, and so see the problematic. So yeah, there's one chapter, it says problematic, and then it tries to explain to you why it is a problematic ingredient. So that's how you can use Codecheck.
And we can move on to the next picture. Unfortunately, we have to hurry a little because we're running out. But the next picture is something Sam can scan also. Actually, I think with this product, maybe Sam, for you, for Beat the Microbead, it's not so interesting because we know there's no microbeads in there. Maybe we can choose the next product.
So which one should we take then?
If you go up, I don't know, anything you would like to pick, but we could go to, I don't know, whatever works. This is, yeah, if we zoom in, maybe that works. Let's try.
Does it work? So you have to tell me.
Yeah, zoom in a bit more. Perfect. Funnily enough, I actually, even though the ingredient list was sideways and mostly out of the frame on that last one, I used Beat the Microbead, and it still was able to pick up some of the ingredients and confirm no microplastics. So this product, I'll just go first since I'm already speaking. I did the picture already, and I've got a green check mark, which means it's in the green zone, which is the no microplastics detected, but we're not sure about the rest of the brand. So that's a good sign on this one from Beat the Microbead.
Sorry, Sam, can you show it again what kind of product it is?
Yeah, of course. So this is Beat the Microbead, and you can see it's given a green check mark.
It's
Yeah, which product is it?
Oh, sorry.
Balea Creme Dusche.
Okay.
Balea Creme Dusche sensitiv mit Aloe Vera.
Ah, okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so it with Toxfox it contains benzophenone 4. It's also a UV filter, and so it says like red attention, and it's on the EU priority list of hormonal, like most likely hormonally active ingredients. So again, the thing I was just talking about. But UV filter in a shower gel, I don't get it. That's weird. Anyways, we can do the next one if you like.
Yeah, so now you can hear me. I already prepared it. Can you scan that as well?
Mm-hmm.
Is it big enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I see the front of the product? What it is? What is it?
It's from Rewe. I don't have the front picture right now, but it's a aftershave balm for men.
Aftershave. Okay, thank you.
And I've finished adding the ingredients in Beat the Microbead, and we have a red guy which says this contains microplastics, and I can actually click on this button that says view the detected microplastic, and it's telling me carbomer, which is a microplastic.
Yep. Exactly.
Interesting, because mine didn't say anything. It said like green light, so it didn't apparently categorize carbomer as a harmful ingredient.
On Codecheck it does. So carbomer also stands there.
Interesting. Maybe they it needs to be updated, the database or so. That's the only explanation I would have. Okay.
So maybe we can do a household product just for the finish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's take this one then. I hope I'm gonna make it bigger a little bit. So I hope it's big enough. Yeah, okay.
Cheryl, just one question. I missed the information. Who of you got the which app? You got which app?
I have Codecheck.
Ah, Codecheck. Okay. And Sam got Fox. No,
Beat the
Toxfox.
Microbead.
Ah, okay. Beat the Microbead, and Mike, you have Toxfox.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
So I have an interesting result because it says they don't have the right to inform us of the ingredients.
Okay.
So I don't actually know because the ingredients on the product says lemon, like Zitronensäure, Milchsäure, Apfelsäure. So it seems like it's 3 really like kind of clean ingredients, but I'm curious to hear what Codecheck says.
Nothing actually. It doesn't say anything. There's no list of ingredients as well, so I cannot tell anything about this product, which is a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, it's weird.
Microbead said no microplastics detected, but I wonder. It's just three items. That looks like almost like a homemade.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can use another product if you want to. Maybe this disinfection spray.
Okay, we can do one more.
Yeah, okay.
So they are not allowed to tell us about their ingredients.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't. Apparently, they didn't register this product properly, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe they have a partnership of some kind.
Mm-hmm. Same here.
I'm not sure if I'm
Okay. Doesn't say anything about it.
It's weird because, yeah, of course, Sam, you don't have a list here. So this is a little worrying. I don't know. I feel like the cleaning products with the exclamation mark and the thingy cannot show the ingredients. It's really like Domol it was. Anyways, yeah, what can we do? We'll send a letter to Domol now that they should please register their product. But at least we get an idea. We could continue all night, I guess, but we haven't get an idea of how to use these apps, I guess. Yeah. So does anyone have any questions before we move on to the next part?
Alternative products. So yeah, then I would say thanks for participating, and then I hand over to Ola, who is going to present you alternative cosmetics and other household products.
Yes, hello everyone. We prepared two PDFs for you. One are with natural detergents that you can do at home, and the other one is with do-it-yourself cosmetics products. I'm going to post the links in the chat now. Wait a second. So the first one is for natural detergents. You can download it as a PDF. It would be nice if someone could check if it's working.
Someone is cleaning the apartment.
Sorry, I'm in the office.
Oh no! Oh,
I'm very sorry for the
link
noise.
Works. I can open the link.
It works? Okay. Nice.
What I could do, I can also quickly change to another room to avoid the...
Oh, no, it's all
it's
good.
fine.
It was just funny.
Okay, so in the first one we have, we prepared it in German because we assumed that we have to search for those things anyway in a German supermarket, so it will be easier to understand what's needed. But most of the things I am quite sure you can already find in your apartments. Because basically what you need to have is usually a soap, a natural soap, and some other additional ingredients. So you have there in the natural detergents, you can see how to create your own washing powder and also fine Waschmittel. I don't really know the English translation. It's probably to kind of like soften your clothes. And then the other section is for three, I think, most used cleaning products in the house. So how to use a how to create a window cleaner, how to create things to clean your dishes, and basic cleaning product for surfaces. And when it comes to the cosmetics, you have different peelings without microplastics and things to wash yourself. So feel free to examine it by yourself. I also put some sources under each of the recipe, which can also lead you to many other ideas, because, for example, a lot of those things come from Smarticular, and there are plenty of different recipes for do-it-yourself products. And I think I will stop now because we are very out of time at the moment. So I'll pass to Micah. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Ola. That's cool. That's really good to have some inspiration. I can just add at this point that yeah, the cosmetics, the DIY cosmetics recipes are from a partner of ours, also Koskun. They are like they make natural cosmetics, skincare, yeah, various things. They're amazing. And we did a DIY cosmetic workshop also a few months back, and I can recommend the recipes. And what I also, just one last comment on this, once you've made your own cosmetics, and I'm not saying it's easy always to make your own stuff, but some of these things are really much more easy than you think, like a peeling, for example, and it smells so good. It's really like, and just feels really good to make your own things sometimes. So for me, it was much easier than I thought before. So sweet. Well, yeah, so we're at the end of our session tonight, and I hope it was inspiring for everyone. And at this point, yeah, we can just drop a little note that we will continue. So we have the Let's Stay Toxic ? Series going for the first Thursday of the month from 7 till 8. We will just have one exception in January. We will skip January and we will continue in February. And the topic is not 100% defined yet. We're in a very interesting phase with our action in Brussels, like our political action. So it will most likely be related to it somehow, but that's the only thing we can say for now. But if you keep yourself posted on social media, you will find out what we'll do.
Yeah, I want to say thank you very much for the for lots of information. I learned a lot, and thank you for organizing. And yeah, stay healthy.
Same. Thank you so much. And yeah, so there's a question. Any reason why one should not install all 3 checking apps? No, actually, it's good to install the 3 of them, I think. Yeah. So I do the same. It's really good to compare also. And one app does one thing, the other does something else. They complement each other also. Thank you, Michael. Cool. All right. Well, thank you for joining, and have a good evening then, and speak soon. Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.